There's a way. If there's a way, there's a way out. Yesterday, well, whether you were here or we're not here, we started taking a look at social media in general. And again, this is kind of going back to the social mass media improve the quality of democratic decision making. There we go. And so we're just kind of brainstorming ideas that go along with that. The page that you have in front of you, and we'll go into certainly a little bit more detail with it today and tomorrow. By no means are these topics, resolutions, not bills, but are they points that you have to debate? But was taking ideas that we were kind of coming up with, or just general concepts, and coming up with some ideas. So there's 28 here in total. 29, 30, 31, the whole idea was it gives us some wiggle room to, if you want to like write some things out yourself. And certainly by no means are you stuck with the wording that would be here. So if you decide, you know what, we're going to debate number 16. Most Americans are willing to change their views when faced with fair, compelling evidence, but I want to change some wording of it. By all means, you have that ability to do so. So these are not set in stone. These are not the ones that you have to choose from, but it was just kind of an idea to give you some ideas and some stuff that we could go with. Has anyone heard about Supreme Court and social media, what they're dealing with now with North Carolina? North Carolina has a statute, so state law, that if you are a convicted sex offender, you are not allowed to use Facebook, Twitter. You have to be off social media. Which would be pretty difficult, I would think, to enforce. But there's statute that, if you're convicted, you're not allowed to use social media. And I have idea behind then you not going to be preying on unsuspecting victims and changing identity and all that kind of stuff. And the Supreme Court is taking it up now because there's the thought that it's unconstitutional to tell someone you cannot use social media this way or that way. Doesn't really, I don't think, necessarily fall into the improve the quality of democratic decision making, but one of the points that we were really looking at a lot yesterday was the validity of social media and gaining information, being able to judge it, right, wrong, content, validity of the content, and things like that. But that's still something that is kind of a pretty wide open area out there, frontier with social media, and that is something that there's probably going to constantly be arguments about regulation and things of that nature. So that's just one thing that I think they started taking up that case, delivering on it like 2 days ago, and we'll kind of see where we end up with. We went from 3 links to 1 loop. Not trusting them with the aliens coming. Actually, you might want to be with them when the aliens come, because they might not be here.
Yeah,
maybe
they're
you
not
could be.
here.
Maybe they're onto something. So. All right, so with things that we were going over yesterday, did anyone have anything that they wanted to kind of add to? We were taking a look at social media benefits, feedback, be able to connect abroad, entertainment, variety of viewpoints. Anything continuing with benefits, or would you see anything that you see as issues, problems? I don't want to always say negatives, but downsides or downfalls that could kind of happen with social media. Is that good or bad? Yeah. Everyone has an opinion. Should they be allowed to share it? Baseball season's starting up. I get happy when spring training's over. Pirate season starts. I'll feel good for the first 2 weeks. Then I'll get depressed again. Tuesday baseball games for me are the worst. This Tuesday is when Root Sports, or whatever they call themselves now, AT&T Sports Network, or whatever that little logo is in the top corner. So when they allow people to tweet the booth. And so you get all these opinions that start showing up, and they usually do that little crawl on the bottom of the screen. I could care less what Ray in Munhall has to feel about the double play that got turned in the last inning, or who should have pinch hit for whom, or pitch selection, all that kind of stuff. I want to watch the game. I do my best not to. But yeah, like whether they start doing this or then they'll start bringing up some of the tweets and talking about them, then I'll hit the volume button and turn something else on, kind of thing. But yeah, like, try to avoid it or not pay attention to it. But I think you certainly do have a beauty that takes place with opinions, that you have the ability to share them. Are all those opinions worthwhile? Freedom of speech. I think we look at being an American value. It's something that we hold near and dear to our hearts. Has freedom of speech caused more harm than good? Has it caused more good than harm? I think it's been more good than harm. I think it's been more positive in general. But there certainly have been some situations where it might not have been beneficial for everyone. And I think a lot of people also kind of have a little bit of issues when it comes to that freedom of speech. What does it truly mean? Doesn't mean you can say absolutely anything that you want at any time, but people will certainly kind of use it as that escape clause for it. What else? Positives or negatives? And by saying a negative doesn't mean it's terrible. They have to eliminate the use of it by any means, but any ways in which it handicaps you. A lot of good people in this room. For personal experience, you'd say, or?
I mean, probably personal experience, but there's like direct sources on there, like news, like news stations can tweet out things and then it gets passed out to each person, and eventually the words get twisted and things aren't actually like.
And I think the bell was ringing right as we were kind of maybe starting to mention some things with news, where it used to be, sound like I'm 74, but the focal point was on getting the news right. Whereas I think you are starting to see a shift where it's not so much get the news right, but it's get the news out there first. And if we're wrong, we'll say sorry, but we're the first ones out there reporting it, so therefore we're going to get the headlines that are going to kind of come with that news. In the advertising, media, commercial business world, first is great, first is important, first certainly helps. If you're looking at trying to inform people and make people knowledgeable about what's going on, it's probably more important to get things right than it simply is to get things done first. It's when you first started having math tests and English exams and history tests that were hard, you had to tell yourself it's not important to be the first one done, it's important to be able to try to get them all right. But we certainly do have a little bit of a need to get things done first or to see things first. Does that supersede the ability to do it correctly, to see things right, be able to make proper judgments? I think you could argue that is an issue that kind of takes place with today's world. Any other ideas?
Is it just social media or like mass media, like television too?
It could be and or both.
I think there's like an overexposure of violence to kids nowadays.
You think of mass media?
Yeah.
For that one? Because of the news stories.
News stories, all these violent TV shows, all the cop
shows. And there always used to be the big debate, I'd say, with video games 5-10 years ago, was always the big debate as to violence. You don't hear as much about that anymore. And some of that, I mean, my kids like to play Wii and Mario Kart. We're not really in Grand Theft Auto.
It's the best game out.
And you might go, no, Mr. Kane, you're completely wrong with this. But I do kind of feel with cell phones, not so much iPads, tablets as much anymore. There doesn't seem, at least from my end, that there's as much emphasis on Xbox, PlayStation, things like that, where you have to have a game console because you can have games with you right here. And I'm thinking the majority of people probably still go for the free games. So not that people are still playing Candy Crush, maybe Jake is. But I feel like that kind of has taken away from some of the violence with video games. That was the big conversation. I'd say when you folks were in 5th grade, fourth grade, things like that. But yeah, there certainly have been studies done, or people take a look at news stories, newscasts where 50% of the content that's coming up there, if it's not violence, it's violence, sex, drugs, and issues like that taking place. When you do have situations that occur, my kids were too young, but when you do have something like Sandy Hook take place or San Bernardino, and you're trying to watch the news to find out what's going on, is at a time when you turn the news off because you should not expose 6, 7, 8-year-olds to news stories like that, or you need to be aware that that kind of stuff goes on. And that's, I think, probably one of those issues that the parents struggle with trying to figure out.
Whenever, like, a parent is busy doing something and they're trying to watch their kid, they just give them something.
Oh, now you're going to get me to start flipping out.
Is that
Okay,
what
cool.
you do?
No, it drives me nuts. We have, some people shouldn't be parents.
Yeah,
That's what,
I can agree with
that's
that.
what I've kind of come to. I think I'm okay. No, if you go to grocery store, or it doesn't have to be grocery store, but Target, whatever, it drives me nuts when you see kids sitting like in the upper part of the cart, holding the phone and 2 or 3 years old. We did break down, and we have the rear entertainment system in the back of the car now, so the kids could watch movies. Luke's hemorrhaging back there. We save it for when they go to Nana's, but we'll pick up a friend every now and then and make a 5-minute trip. Can we watch a movie? No, we're not watching. Look out the window, for 5 minutes. And it's very understandable because usually the kids stop crying, and that makes moms and dads a lot calmer. But you can definitely see where there's like we have friends where like kid's going to be 3. I think the birthday party is this Saturday. Addicted to the screen time, something like that. Absolutely. But how many people want to deal with screaming 2 or 3-year-old or 14-year-old? Hopefully not. When it comes to checkout lines and all that stuff.
But like, if the kid wasn't on the phone, the parent would have to interact with them. So that's taking away from like time parents can spend with kids too, like their kid. Like
Yeah, like you mean like you're losing time with this. Yeah. No, and trust me, this isn't Mr. Kane coming down because I know what's best with all parenting because clueless with half the stuff that's going on. But it is, it is by far the most difficult thing to do. The patience that's required for it is extraordinary. So go say thank you to parents when you get home today. But yeah, it's there are so many things that are going on, work schedules, school schedules, getting homework done with kids. You're taking them to 5,000 or 6,000 different places. Sometimes I think people forget how to interact with one another. And again, this is when I start sounding like I'm 74 years old, complaining that the world's going to a mess. I think and not that this all has to come back on social media or technology in general. I think there's absolutely wonderful benefits to all those things, but it's finding those boundaries, and that's true for anything. You can certainly take technology out, and you're still going to have people who aren't going to interact with one another. But yeah, you're right. That's absolutely a necessity.
I think it's creating more people that can't interact with
But and if 5-10 years ago, talk about kids with phones, in the grocery store, people used to get really upset when the kids would pull out phones, not at stores, but if the family was going out to restaurants. It's not the kids pulling out the cell phones half the time. If you go out to a restaurant, mom, dad, or whoever out, and we've certainly probably all seen this, where you look at a table of four and four people have four separate devices out that are taking place. So I think that whole interaction is one thing that is becoming a little bit more difficult. Now, a flip argument could be that interaction has changed. That by going through media technology, it allows for greater interaction to take place because you can hit a wider audience with it. I guess the question kind of comes up, well, are you dealing with quantity or are you dealing with quality of that interaction? And that's one of those, I don't know, kind of things. But if you take a look at, number 13, regular consumption of social media, and this could be mass media. Again, for any of these, you can kind of tweak the wording, significantly improves communication and or collaborative skills. So we're talking about personal interaction. Does it help when it comes to things like group projects, Google presentation slides, all that kind of stuff, that you can have that group interaction taking place, but do people then struggle with that one-on-one FaceTime? Hi, how are you? Those conversations might not quite happen as much as any click, send kind of taking place. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out partners. And, of course, we're missing people. I can pull names, or we can try to figure out our own. Who are you trying to talk to already? Nobody wants to work with Lexi, so she'll just be on her own. What did you do today? I told Addie that you liked her turtle, but she was very excited. And there's an orange one, because it was Michelangelo, so she should be wearing it. So if she didn't go to that other one. Midnight. Apparently it's like the slum of North Allegheny.
That was like my first said they went to some build program or not.
I just kind of looked at him sideways.
Still,
You went to school?
I went to Seville for a year.
I was gonna say, when would be the last Seville class?
I mean,
Like when, I don't remember how long.
people in our grade did until like 5th grade. It's like 4th or 5th grade.
It's gonna be a whole generation lost
I was
from those people drinking.
half
Well, you're fine. A little shorter,
It's okay.
but,
I was short before this.
I'm gonna pull names. I'm gonna do it that way. Makes it a little bit quicker for us. And the whole idea would then be, we're gonna get together. If your partner's not here, then too bad for that person, because you get a pick. But we're gonna try to figure out who wants to do what. Now, again, you are not limited to solely looking at these topics. I would suggest that these be a starting point, but by no means trying to force feed that you have to take one of them. If, let's say, you have a group, I read 16, the person does want to do 16, let me know, because once someone takes statement number 16, it's off the board. So we're not going to have 4 people debating all those things. So listed here are 28 topics, but at most we're going to have 12 debates taking place. Now, whatever topic you do go with, part of your argument is going to have to be social or mass media based, at least one or the other. So Luke was talking about mass media with violence, and we'd have to kind of go tie that into democratic decision making. But you could have an argument built solely around mass media. You could have an argument built solely around social media. For like 27 and 28, people will go, well, but there isn't anything about mass or social media there. If you did 27, voting age for all elections should be 16. So, to my knowledge, all of you would be able to vote then. Part of that argument would be, are younger people, 16, 17, going to be too susceptible or be influenced too easily by things like mass media, social media? So that's how those arguments are kind of meant. Voting should be mandatory. Again, you'd still be able to bring in social mass media. Doesn't mean the whole entire argument has to be built around those things, but it would still be a pretty key component too. You take a look at number 23. U.S. justice system should use 1, 2, or 3 trained judges instead of juries consisting of 12 people. So being judged by the jury of your peers, are there some issues where folks are going to be a little bit too influenced, whether you are in isolation as a jury or not? So for all of them, there would still be some kind of media connection that would be taking place. Some are pretty general. Number 9, regular consumption of social and/or mass media will make you a better American. And then some get much more specific. Any question about any of the topics that you see on there? Just for clarification's sake. Now, if you are working with someone, what that really means is it's coming up with topic, and then we're hoping figuring out who's doing affirmative, who's doing negative. You're not working with the person for the rest of the week or anything like that, bless you, because you're looking up information on your side and they're looking up information on theirs. So if Caden and Nick are like working together, it doesn't mean Caden's going to go, hey, what's your argument going to be? Because if I'm Nick, I'm certainly not saying anything to him. And if I'm Caden, I'm probably going, hey, can I sit someplace else so that he's not looking at my screen or anything like that. So keep that in mind, that by you working with someone, really it's opponent, but it's nothing more than that. So we got Oliver and Luke, who's actually here. Thank you for your attendance. We'll I'll read off all names, things, and then start moving around, talking about what topics we want to do and things like that. Jake and Steven. Jake, did you go to Seville? No. Ross. Becca, it's you and Corner Luke. So you get to pick whatever you want. Good for you. Lexi and Kendall. Kendall's smiling to herself. She thinks she's taking you down. Yeah. Ryan, you get a pick for you and Meredith. How's Meredith doing?
Good. Should get the honest with it.
Living and breathing?
Yeah.
Okay. Jess, you're going against Mr. Burrito.
I got one though.
That's Martin.
Yeah.
Joseph, you can pick whatever you and Luke are going to do. Brooke, you get to pick whatever you and Evan are going to do. Mary cannot sabotage your efforts. Well, she could. Monica and Connor. Aaron and Mary. Seniors, you graduate in 2 months.
I'm so excited.
Sarah and Caden. You got that.
It's like not gonna hit me.
Michael and Nick. Is that everybody? All right, that's everybody. So move around. Get with partner. If your partner is not here, too bad for them. Once you know what you want to do topic-wise, let me know so that I can mark it down and call it off. And
Can I do number 19 negative?